Hi everybody, so today is a special episode of the Corporate Trailblazers podcast because this is a Q&A episode. I like to go on my Facebook group and give them a lot of good stuff. So if you're watching me live, yay, I'm super happy that you're here. And I love doing this in my Facebook group. That's my tribe. Those are my peeps. Those are the people that get to see me with no makeup on. Those are the people that get to see me in my pajamas. Those are the people that I just go on and I tell you things whenever I feel like telling you. So if you are not a member of the Facebook group yet, you can find it by just going to Facebook and searching for Corporate Trailblazers Unite, or by going to inacoveney.com/Facebook. Ina Coveney, make sure to spell it right. Coveney ends in EY. Okay, so what we're going to do today is I'm going to take the questions that you guys submitted. I'm going to answer them as detailed as I can to the best of my ability. And for everyone who's listening to the podcast, if you join the Facebook group, you actually get to see when I go live with these things. You can ask me anything you want and I can use that as material for the next live session. All right, so I can answer your questions. You just have to submit them. All right, so why don't we start with the first one that I got? This one is from Shannon. Shannon, I have to tell you, she inspired the last podcast episode. The last podcast episode as of the time that I'm recording this. So episode number 25 is how to start a business with no money. This was inspired by Shannon. Shannon was super nice and sat down with me for a market research interview. And we started talking about the challenges that you have when you're like, I don't have $15,000 to spend to start up on a business. I just want to get started, but I don't know how. So I took our conversation and I turned it into a podcast episode to tell people what the strategy is and what the technical piece is and how you can accomplish them completely for free. So go check out episode 25, all right? And if you're watching this, go to inacoveney.com/CT25. That will take you there to the video. All right. Every podcast of mine you can watch by video by going to inacoveney.com/CT and then the number of the episode. Okay. So why don't we start with Shannon's question, which is how to write an eGuide. Okay. I don't know why there's been so much, this topic has been so blown up, right? Because to me, writing an eGuide is nothing more than just writing a document and printing it as PDF. It's just as simple as that. So to answer my friend Shannon's question, creating an eGuide does not have to be a big thing. It doesn't have to be a big project. When you are starting out, the most important thing is to get things done and to put things out there. It is not how beautiful they look. It is not whether you hired a graphic designer to make it look good. It's not that you hired a branding specialist to help you with your brand. When you're starting out, the most important thing is consistency. Because guess what? People that follow you, they're really not going to care what things look like as long as you're being true to what your topic is. You're going to be very honest, very vulnerable. If they resonate with your message, they're going to stick around. It doesn't matter what anything else looks like. So when you're thinking about writing an eGuide, in practical terms, what this means is that you open up a Word document. All right, or whatever word processor you have on your computer. If you have a Mac, what would be like, I think there's Microsoft stuff for a Mac, right? So I'm not a Mac person. You'll learn that about me very quickly. I'm a very, very PC person. So open up Word and just start typing. What is it that you want to, what is it you want to say? Think about all that stuff. What is the message? Is this a step-by-step guide? Is this going to be just like an essay form? That's more of a blog post, not so much of an e-guide. If you're writing an e-guide, there's got to be steps, right? So when you're planning it, make sure just take out a piece of paper and a pen, right? Plan it out. Okay, what is it that you want to say? What are you guiding people through? Make sure that each Tammy's telling me for Mac, is that what it's called? Pages? Crazy. That's a crazy name. Am I getting that right? Is that what you're telling me? That for Mac, the software is called Pages? That's what you're saying? So anyway, you open up a Word document and you type it up. What is it that you want to say? What are the steps that people have to follow? Okay, make sure that they're snappy. If you can insert images, even better. Because remember that people don't have a great attention span. Nobody is going to read your eGuide like it's a novel. So try to make paragraphs very, very short and snappy, okay? Make sure that you have headings so that they're easy to skim through. All right, so if your steps are 1 through 7, I need to be able to read the heading for each step before I dive in so that I know what I'm getting myself into. If there is no headings, it creates anxiety because I don't know what I'm about to read in these 5 lines of a paragraph. So make sure that you organized it properly. If it's a 1 page, that's better than 5 pages, but it really depends on the depth that you want to get into. All right, a simple eGuide, 1 page is plenty. If you are drafting like a blueprint, right, like something that people are going to print out and follow to the letter, something that people are going to be using for years to come, like you want to write like an epic eGuide, making it long is perfectly fine. In fact, people are going to feel better about it because I feel like they downloaded exactly what they wanted, right? Like a real step-by-step beefy guide. So number of pages, like I said, it won't matter, but it depends on what you want. If it's a very simple eGuide, like how to create a Pinterest account, I don't expect that to take more than 1 page. All right, that should just be like, go here, enter your name, click create, and if you want more information, you can download this other guide where I teach you how to start on Pinterest, right? But make sure that it's very focused. So that's how you create your eGuide. Go to Word or go to Pages. Thank you, Tammy, for telling me that. Or go to Pages, create it, type it up, add some formatting, make it look pleasant. Most importantly, it has to be readable, so add your headings. And once you're done with it, go to Save As PDF. Voila, you got your PDF guide. That is an eGuide. A lot of other people have been telling me you can do this on Canva. I have never done this in Canva. I'm much more comfortable with Word and printing as a PDF, but you're welcome to try it. Go check out Canva's abilities and see if they fit you better. That would be totally fine too. I hope that answers your question, Shannon. If it doesn't, if you have more questions about this, come back to the group and let me know. I am happy to elaborate. All right? Let's go to question number 2. This one is from Dana. Oh, Dana is a powerhouse of a woman. She's an amazing person. So Dana is asking, how do you grow your Instagram account to more local people? Okay, Dana, I have a couple things to say about this. Number 1, growing your Instagram account is something that is you do it the same way that you would grow it even if it was local or not local. There's only one caveat. All right. First of all, how do you grow an Instagram account? I'm going to tell you what the secret is, how people get 50,000 views in 1 year. And I would like to thank my friend Rose. She is a copywriter and she's amazing. You should check her out. Her Instagram handle is Rosie the Writerer. I will post it in here once I'm done with it. But Rose is a copywriter and she sat down and she gave me a whole ton of advice on Instagram. So I thank her for this. And basically what she said was, it all comes down to networking, going, and not even personally, going to people's accounts and commenting there, right? Giving thoughtful comments, liking other people's things, and finding more people with a similar audience and start just tagging them on things, commenting on their stuff, liking their stuff, friending them. I mean, connecting with them. How do you say in Instagram? Follow them. Okay, when people follow you, you have kind of like a sense like, okay, let me check out who this person is. All right, so that is really how you grow it, by doing interactions, because everybody wants to do a follow for follow. All right, so that's really how you do it. How do you do it locally? It just means you have to get a little bit more strategic about the time that you're spending tagging and friending people. So it just means you're gonna start with finding people who are local. And how do you do that? You can find people by location. For example, go to the Instagram feature for the location and go to your town. Okay, and see who has tagged your town on their posts. So start viewing them. Okay, by the way, nobody said this was going to be easy. This is very time consuming, guys, but it works. So you go and you find people who have tagged your location and start following them and commenting on their things, especially if they're your target audience, right? And start doing that way. Another thing that Rose told me is that Another thing that she did was to follow people who were writing thoughtful comments on somebody else's post, because that shows you that the person is active, the person is looking to network, the person is looking to follow good people. So you can go and follow them and comment on their things. You know that those people are engaged and they're probably going to be engaging with you. So how do you grow your Instagram? By connecting with people, commenting on their things. How do you grow it locally? Get more strategic about following people who are in your local vicinity. Another way to do this is to create a Facebook group that is specifically for the locals, right? So I could have a corporate Trailblazers of Boston, right? And only admit people who are in the greater Boston area. And then once I have them, I can go and tell them, hey, follow me on Instagram and give me a like. And that's how I start basically funneling people from both places. But that is basically how you do it. Virginia says, I am sorry, I'm on the road. Hope to be able to watch a replay later. Awesome. Watch the replay. It'll be right here. I'm also turning it into a podcast episode. So you'll get to catch that too. Awesome. So that's basically how you grow Instagram and how you grow it locally. I hope that was helpful. It's not going to be easy. It's very time consuming. So normally people, what they do is they outsource this. They hire somebody whose job is to focus on the social media for the company. All right. And that's what they do. They go and search for these accounts and they comment on these accounts and they get the likes, and that's all they do. All right. The last question that I have here, and if you have any questions on the live, feel free to ask. How do I have a plan for my publications? How is content for a blog supposed to be planned? This is a question from Mirellana. Mirellana has been our star student in Corporate Trailblazers. She's been following every challenge. She's been there on every webinar. She's really wanting to make a business for herself while she's working full time, and I applaud her. I love Mirellana. So, do I have a plan for my publications? No. Okay. This doesn't make it right, okay? Because if you're asking me what I do, that's only going to tell you what is it that I do. But it's not going to tell you the right way to do things, okay? The reason I don't plan my content is because I like to be inspired when I talk about a topic. I like to just come on and be like, okay, what am I going to talk about today? So like the topic for this week, I put it out to the audience. I said, do you want to hear about how to run a challenge, or do you want to hear about how to start a business with no money? And the business with the money got more votes. So that's what I did. But those were the two topics that I was being called to talk about because I just finished my challenge. So I could possibly do an entire episode of how to run a challenge, right? So if you catch me on a topic that I'm not super familiar with, or a topic that I'm only starting to really soak my feet into right now, I'm probably, the episode is probably not going to be as good. All right. And I do say episode because I actually post my podcast episodes on the blog. I don't actually blog exclusively. All my content is pretty much through video. So I post a lot on YouTube and a lot on my blog with the YouTube links. And all of that stuff goes on the podcast. So I like talking about things rather than actually sitting down and writing them. The way when I sit down and write things, that's for my audience. That's what I do for my mailing list. And I love writing for my mailing list. I love them so much. I just actually sent out an email yesterday where I made a reference to one of my favorite movies, The Family Man. And I might have a whole episode about that email because I just loved it. So I just told you what I do. What I do is, what am I being called to speak about on a particular day? And that's what my content will be about, okay? And I have accepted, and this is something you can do too, it's not something that is unique to me. I have accepted the abundance of things I can talk about. I've realized that I don't just have one topic in me. I have a million of them, okay? I could create, back in June, I created a YouTube episode for my Commuting Bites series on YouTube. I created one episode a day, okay? I just accepted, I looked within myself and I accepted the abundance of topics there are for me to talk about, for me to showcase my expertise on, for me to just get you to be aware of them. For example, I'm not an expert at publicity at all, but I have learned enough that I have taken some steps that even got me featured on USA Today, which is a major national publication. So I know enough that I can tell whoever doesn't know anything about it a little bit more about it. So there's a whole range of topics I can talk about. So if you are feeling a little bit scarce, I would say look within yourself, sit down, and one day just have a stream of consciousness, right? What are the topics that your audience wants to hear about that you can speak to? You do not have to be the ultimate authority on any topic for you to have an opinion about them and for you to have tried them and talk about your experience with them. So think about it that way. You have plenty of experience that people want to hear about, especially if they are a few steps behind you. So if you are having that scarcity mindset, sit down, take a deep breath, and just spill them all out. Okay? As for the second part of the question, which is how should the content be planned? That I have some thoughts about, because whatever content you put out, you should have a strategic plan around them. For example, if I were to be advertising my coaching package, right, that I just created, the Star Launcher, in which I give you business coaching, but I also create your website, I might want to create a topic that is related to that. For example, the topic of how to start your business with no money. I thought it was perfect to plug it in there because there are people out there who they say they have no money, but in reality, they're not ready to invest it back in themselves. So I can catch those people there and say like, hey, if you are ready to actually take the next step, come and join me. And here's the link to set up a call with me, which by the way is inacoveney.com/calendar. I just slipped that right in there. So there should be a strategy for what is it that you're advertising? What is it that you want people to realize before they sign up for your services or before they buy something from you? It should not be just a topic that you just feel like talking about. For example, I actually have a kind of I don't know if this is embarrassing, but this happened like within the first few weeks of my start in my business. I had a coach and I told her that I was doing the whole publicity thing, putting my name out there. And there was an article that was written about why you shouldn't fix typos, like spelling mistakes in your copy. There are people out there that actually believe this. There's a whole company out there who operates this, who mandates that their employees do not fix typos, even in the most front-facing things. And I seriously have an opinion about that. They say that fixing a typo was going to take too much attention from their time, right? You should just focus on finishing something, putting it out, and moving on, not going back and revisiting. I have feelings about typos. I believe that when something is typed incorrectly, I'm not going to assume that, oh, that's okay. I am going to go to that person and try to be helpful and tell them, hey, you have a typo there if you want to fix it. So it's already getting my attention, but not in a positive way. And it's distracting to me. I don't actually remember what these slides were about, what this presentation was about. All I remember is that they had a typo in them. That might just speak to the kind of person I am, right? That may just be for me. So I told my coach, I think I'm going to write a blog post about why you should fix typos. And her answer was, well, is that what your audience wants to hear about? And I'm like, well, if they don't, they should, right? I'm just like tantruming against myself, right? But she had a very good point that you should not be spending your energy on topics that are not going to lead to a sale because you're trying to run a business here. So every piece of content that you put out there should be part of a larger funnel to try to get people to understand what is it that you sell and whether they're going to need you. So I no longer feel the need to write back to people who have typos and have decided to write whole articles about why you shouldn't fix typos, because that has nothing to do with my service and it doesn't enlighten my target audience and it does nothing for me. So when you plan your content, it's not just about what are you inspired to talk about. Well, I'm really pissed about people's typos, right? It's about what am I inspired to write about that my audience wants to hear about. all right? And if you have a launch coming up, or if you're selling a service, it should be somewhat related to it so that it gets people thinking that, yes, I think I kind of need that. Oh, there she is. Okay, I'm going to find out more. So how should you plan these? You should know what the purpose is, right? My emails are all planned. My emails, I plan them probably just with each launch, right? So that they are related, so they're giving you one specific message. If I don't have a launch coming up, I will go back and tell them about a podcast episode I did or about joining the Facebook group and what the benefits are of it. So I do plan my emails. I don't necessarily plan my videos. It's whatever you guys want to hear. That's what I'm here for. Podcasts are evergreen. People are going to be hearing these 5 years from now. So it's not really supposed to be very specific to now. But emails, yes, emails have a very short lifespan, just as do Facebook posts, very short lifespan. So figure out your purpose for the content. Are you launching something? Make sure that it's related to it, and make sure to use keywords. This is just a side note about blogging. If you're going to be blogging, make sure you're using keywords that people like, that people are actually using, people are actually searching for. If you have any more questions about that, let me know. I could probably do a whole session on keywords, like where you find them, how do you know which ones are going to be the best ones? Should I be going for the keywords that have 10 million searches, that kind of thing. I can totally help with that. So if you're curious, let me know. I might be able to do a Q&A or a podcast episode on keywords. But that is basically it. If you have any more questions about how you should be planning your blog or your content, let me know. I'm happy to really elaborate on that. But the answer is yes, you should have a plan for your content, and it should be related to what you're ultimately selling. It should answer the question, what do I need my audience to feel or believe before they buy my services? That's what your content should be related to. And stay away from petty fights with authors of articles that you don't like, that have nothing to do with your niche. Okay, so that is basically all I had for you in terms of questions. I know that Shannon and Joe wanted to know how to run a challenge, so I'm definitely going to leave that for a separate episode because I can tell you how all of that works. And I can definitely do it a lot more justice than doing it here. But I just finished a challenge last week, and I'm telling you, it was a challenge. It was all about how to carve out time to work on your stuff. And I know that Mirellana got some great results. She was already telling me that she was already finding time where there was none. And that was the whole point of the challenge. So if you're listening to the podcast or if you're watching the video, all you have to do is go back to episode 20 to listen to the 5-day challenge from the beginning. So that's inacoveney.com/CT20, or on the podcast screen, just go back to episode 20. And that's going to blow your mind about all the pockets of time that you didn't know were there, that they actually are. And you can be such a productive person just by following these guidelines. So the challenge was amazing. I had a lot of fun with it. It was a lot of late nights, and also my son got sick in the middle of the week. So that was tough too. So I'm very glad to be out of the grind. I'm very happy to be here with you guys, just answering questions, just talking to you a little bit about this. And but that is basically all I had for you for the podcast and for the video, just so you guys know. Yes, I do sell stuff. I am a business coach, and I also make websites. So if you ever want to have a conversation to see if you need any of that, just go to inacoveney.com/calendar. And I'm just happy to pick your brain and let you pick mine, and do you need this? Is this something that makes sense for you to start, makes sense for you in your business? I always recommend that people get a coach, only because keeping yourself on task is very, very hard when you do it by yourself, on your own, even if you're a type A person. So having a coach just skyrockets your progress. So that is basically what I had for you. Want to learn more? inacoveney.com/calendar. And if you're on the podcast, come and join the Facebook group, because there's a lot more out there for you. inacoveney.com/Facebook. Okay, guys, that is all I had for you. And I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day. I will see you next time. Bye.